welcome to the Chamber Podcast. I'm Dan Harrison, Press and PR Manager here at Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce, and today we're in conversation with Daniel Aston from Access Bookings. Now, Daniel's a member of our Future Faces division, and in January he was crowned Young Professional of the Year at the Sutton Coldfield, Lichfield and Tamworth Chamber Awards. Daniel, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good, thank you. Strange old world at the moment, hence we're doing this remotely, but it's something we've all had to get used to. So, first of all, tell us a bit about Access Bookings and your role within the company.
Yeah, sure. So we were established back in 1985. Our two directors, Patricia and Ian, they'd come from a hospitality background and noticed a bit of a gap in the market, essentially, of sort of helping out the TV and film industry with their travel arrangements. So we've got a lot of experience within the industry. We've built up an amazing portfolio of clients, including some really cool projects that we've worked on in the past, such as sort of Peaky Blinders, The Crown, Top Gear, my favourite TV show, RuPaul's Drag Race UK. Our main office is based in Lichfield, so that's where our main hub is. However, we do sort of have a presence across the world. We've got offices in Wales, Dublin, Spain and LA. Award-winning agency as well, just to pop that in there. We've won our Business Travel Award back in 2019 and also accredited with our Investors in People status last year. And we got the silver grading for the first time round, which was really cool to have. My role within the business, it's changed a lot over the last few years, but where I am at the moment, currently work within the HR department. So very, very varied role. No 2 days the same. Obviously, it could be conducting interviews one day with potential candidates, sitting in on reviews to check in on sort of how staff are getting on, or even sort of supporting colleagues with their welfare as well. One thing that I do oversee is the apprenticeship levy for the business. So I just obviously make sure that we're using up all of our funds and making sure that all of our staff are upskilled as much as possible.
Great stuff. Yeah, you've got quite a varied role, and you've progressed quite quickly there, which is something we're going to come on to, as well as the kind of apprenticeship stuff as well. But we're having a little chat off mic before we started about the kind of things that the company does and how you act in terms of as being a kind of booking agent, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you've alluded to it briefly that it's kind of really large scale TV productions. Some of the shows that you've kind of helped out, and like Casualty was one that you mentioned is quite a big one. So just explain a little bit about the mechanics of how it all works when they approach you.
Yeah, sure. So obviously with us being those specialists in the TV and film industry, we work across a lot of different bookings. So it can be really varied from sort of a one-room booking in a remote location for some filming that maybe Countryfile are doing. Sort of the big, huge events like the BBC's coverage of Glastonbury is another one that we've worked on and continue to work on. So we'll also help out with other bookings, including meeting rooms, just if anybody wants to conduct any interviews. We use those for auditions and script read-throughs, as well as sort of like your more long-term accommodation as well. So service departments and cottages are another big sort of area for us as well. And a lot of productions, especially now with everything that's going on with COVID, they're finding that is something that, that they're more open to because it's a lot more secure and safer for them. So yeah, we'll sort of get an inquiry come through. We'll have a list of requirements and sort of off using our own, websites and other third-party websites just to get the best rates, really. And obviously get everything that matches their requirement. So we've got a huge portfolio of hotels on our system and built up some amazing relationships with our suppliers as well. So, we are the preferred supplier for accommodation bookings for the BBC, which is an amazing thing to have. And we've worked with them for several years. So, yeah, it's really rewarding of what we do, especially when you see all the projects that you've worked on screen as well.
Absolutely, and this can be for the cast, the crew, the extras, and the whole sort of shooting match, can't it?
Yeah, everybody. It could be from, any extras coming to do anything. We even get people, doing auditions when they're looking to do script read throughs for casualty, like medical professionals as well. Because they make sure that they keep in line with actually what is true in the real world. So yeah, it's a really mixed range of roles and what people are coming to stay for, really.
Great stuff. Now, just going to talk a bit about yourself. Now, I believe you joined the company straight from college in 2002, and you've worked your way through the ranks, so to speak. So, just take us back to the start and how you got into this line of work and what your role was from the very beginning.
Yeah, sure. So I studied travel and tourism at college. I left college not really knowing what I wanted to do. I'd obviously considered the thought of becoming cabin crew, even to the extent of when I was a lot younger, sending Richard Branson an email, personally, to ask whether I could. Didn't receive a reply, so I'll still continue to hold that grudge. My friend had actually started working at Access Bookings at the time, and recommended the company to me. So when I first started out and got my role, I started as a junior booking coordinator. And I was helping out on some really cool projects at the time, such as Skins, which was on Channel 4, Embarrassing Bodies. And that's really when I kind of fell in love with Access as a business, because, we're sort of so passionate in how we deliver that best customer service to our clients. And it was something that I felt like, I actually found something that I was a great interest in, really. Obviously, when I first started with the business, there were only about 30 of us, compared to the 180 members of staff that we've got now. So as you can see, that we've grown quite a lot over the last few years. And obviously just that growth really has just come from our success with our clients, really, and what we offer to them. So yeah, I've worked my way through a few teams, gaining skills and sort of confidence along the way. Obviously, as my confidence gained, so did my portfolio of clients as well. So I got to the stage where I was handling a lot of the larger bookings for the business. When we first got the contract for the BBC, where I kind of started out working with them a lot more closely, was that I was actually allocated the key contact for BBC Wales. And that was when I came into my first taste of management as well, really. I had sort of one person working alongside me, and I'm kind of responsible for teaching them the ropes and the use of the business and how we wanted Access Bookings to come across to our clients.
Well, it sounds like it was very much Richard Branson's loss and Access Bookings gain. I'm not sure he listens to this particular podcast, but he's not a very popular bloke at the moment anyway, but there's another black mark against his name anyway.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned your first taste in management. And I believe by the age of 22, you were promoted to head up a department, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, so obviously over those times, especially working closely with BBC Wales, I developed some strong relationships with my clients prior to me becoming head of department. I used to sort of take some time out of my own time to travel down to the different BBC hubs, just to find out what my clients needed really for their bookings. I just wanted to make sure that I was continuously delivering the best customer service that I could. The main thing for us was become an extension of their office essentially, and know that any time that they needed to have any help or had to query and just needed a general support with a hotel booking, they could just pick up the phone and know that they've got the confidence that we would handle that for them. I developed a team of about, so I went from looking after one person to 14 pretty much overnight. Sort of continued looking after the whole of the BBC, and continued to sort of manage departments across the business, which is where my interest of personal development came from, really. Always wanted to sort of motivate my team, and wanted them to do well in their careers as well. So, they used to use my department a lot for new staff to come into, just to let them flourish really in a working environment, because we have created such a positive atmosphere. One of my favourite sayings that I used to say to the team was, I used to just steer the ship and they powered it. So, they were the driving force behind the success of the department, and I just steered them in the right way, away from any potential icebergs or choppy waters as such. So, yeah, it's sort of very much like a really nice atmosphere to be in as well.
Great. And I mean, I guess it's a pretty big leap of faith from the company itself to give you so much responsibility so quickly, and it's something you must be pretty grateful for.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was something that gave me that confidence push really. I think it's something that I never really expected to have, but I was really grateful for it, and it's sort of done me huge favours with my career to date as well. So really proud of that sort of time. Looking after the team and getting them where they needed to be. So.
Sure. Can you tell us about Access Academy, which I believe it's a project that you work pretty hard to establish?
Yeah, of course. So, with anything sort of the Nanny McPhee effect, as I say, came into play with the team in the BBC. I felt as though, that they wanted me more there than what they actually needed me to be there in the end, which sort of triggered my desire for a change. I didn't want to leave the business, and that's the great thing about working at Access, is that our directors invest so much in their staff and want them to do well, that opportunities are created to sort of accommodate that. Had the chance to develop the academy. The department focuses on developing new starters into the business, taking control of their induction, and it just means that we're fully able to integrate new members of staff into their teams. Training programs used to run from sort of about 4 to 6 weeks, and essentially we sort of laid out the foundations of their journey in Access. We found that the academy had a really big impact on apprentices, especially for some who, was their first experience of work. We also aid with sort of training with operational staff as well, not just sort of new starters. That could include retraining for all during times, which enables sort of knowledge to be expanded on across all areas of the business. Something that's particularly important for our team leaders and heads of department, because they're encouraged to chip in and help each other when they can. So it's really important that they know all elements of our business and how it works. So despite the fact I've obviously stepped away from operational side of things now, I've always wanted to remain on hand to help out where possible and advise staff, especially during busy periods. I kind of go with the approach of is that I wouldn't ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Since the creation of the academy, we've successfully trained over 100 members of staff now. Always make sure that the training plans are tailored to each learner. So we will look at learning styles and make sure that we cater for the way that they learn, just really to give them those tools, to be prepared for whatever could be thrown at them when they go into the department. The really cool thing that we do with trainees on the program is that some of these people might not have had any experience with hotels before. So we include visiting properties of various standards, and we'll learn about sort of like the supplier's day-to-day operations, and it just gives our staff really a real insight how a hotel operates and how we can work with those suppliers as well. And it's something we find gives us that real competitive edge within the industry.
It also sounds like with something like that, the academy, that I don't know, if you invest that kind of time and effort into people from the start, you've got a great chance of then kind of keeping them in the business and showing them a bit of a pathway, and then you kind of get that loyalty back from them. Is that what you kind of found?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've a lot of the staff that are working with us have been with us for a long time, and we've had people come in at the grassroots and start as apprentices and have worked their way up to, senior booking roles. They've then gone into team leader and managerial roles. Really, it's just really, really good to sort of see people flourish in what they do. And it's sort of, one of the reasons why I felt so passionate about the training team was because, we want to make sure that people do well in their careers. And then, you've got the flip side, a bit like me, when somebody wants a change, that, we want to avoid people feeling as though they become stale and stick with the same role throughout their time in the business. It gives them an opportunity to sort of retrain and relook at different areas of the business that they perhaps might want to explore in the future. Like I said before, there's opportunities that are created for people to move around if they want to. And it's been a great success for the staff as well and their line managers. And it also helps with our senior management team to give them an insight of the departments that they're responsible for, just see how everybody's doing and just do a general check-in with how the business is operating.
Sure. And you alluded to it briefly earlier on. You've also taken on a leading role with regards to apprenticeships. You mentioned the levy and making sure that's the funds used properly. But tell us a bit more about what it entails and why this is important to you as well.
Yeah, so when government announced in 2017 about all the apprenticeships needed to have the 20% off the job training, I wanted just to make sure that us as a business were just providing that support to the apprentices so that they were getting sort of most out of their qualification. As a result of that, it was something that was completely new me and a lot of businesses. So the first thing that I did was meet with our apprenticeship providers and just look at ways that as a business and working with them that we could come up with some really good ways in which we could ensure that the learners were, making sure they hit that 20% off the job training, also making sure that those, elements of their qualification was tailored into the work that they were doing. So, I felt like, it was a brilliant way for us to discover new talent as well. And with the work that we put in, a lot of our apprentices, as I mentioned before, progress into a career within the business. Over the coming years, we expect to see a lot more apprentices come through the door, which again opens up more opportunities for those looking for work in a really exciting, fast-paced and diverse workplace. I've also sort of looked at investigating, the idea of the opportunity of us becoming an employer provider as well, just so we can take it up to that next level, really, and come up with sort of like a more comprehensive off-the-job training scheme, which is more bespoke to us. We've created sort of like a small area as well on our company intranet where our apprentices can share ideas and we can store some, important information and things like that they might want. I think really for me, the reason why I feel so passionate about it is because, I started out with the business at such a young age, coming into the workplace, not really knowing what I wanted to do, feeling a bit lost, I should say. And, I was able to, work hard and get given those opportunities and platforms to shine, really. And that's something I'll always be grateful for. And I think that's something that I kind of want to give back now and able to help others embark on their work in life.
Great. And all this with brilliant work you've done, it led to you winning the Sutton, Lichfield and Tamworth Young Professional of the Year award back in January. So tell us about that experience. It did it come as a bit of a shock, or?
Yeah, a definite shock. I didn't expect it at all, to be honest. So much so to the point where I'd stupidly wore a brand new pair of shoes and they were rubbing my feet. I took them off under the table. And just as they were calling the nominees out, I kind of turned around to my colleague Ria and I just said, I probably should just really put my shoes back on just in case, shouldn't I, really? At that point, just as I'd literally finished putting my shoe back on, my name was called out. And it was just a bit of a blur, really. I remember walking from my seat to the stage and just couldn't stop smiling. I kind of like everything else, just felt like there was nothing else around me. It was a really strange feeling. But back to the table, I'd got all my team around me and our directors on the night, and we had some, lots of big cuddles and lots of photos and stuff like that. And the support when I got back to the office as well was just amazing. One of our teams had decorated my desk with balloons and banners, and that's the really nice thing about Access, is that we're a family at the end of the day. So winning the award has sort of given me new drive to succeed further. I literally just joined the HR team at the end of 2019, and was contemplating studying further with my CIPD. So I'd already achieved my level 5 in learning development back in September last year, and kind of thought about doing level 7. I didn't really have the confidence to do it at the time. With the award, it kind of gave me that push, really. So I decided to go ahead and start studying for my postgrad diploma in human resource management, which I'm currently working on at the University of Wolverhampton. Since then, I've taken on more duties within the business, and just want to be able to keep driving a positive atmosphere, really, and attract more people into the business when we come to recruit new members of the team again. So yeah, it's been great, really. I've obviously following on from my board as in that platform to help others in the community as well. So over the last few months, myself and my colleague Keely, we've worked quite closely with Job Centre in Lichfield, and we've done a mentoring circle, which was an amazing experience, just to be able to sort of get people together who were struggling to get into work, and help them write their CV and give them some interview techniques and other useful skills and information that they could take away with them to put them on the right path to getting the job that they wanted.
Sure, you kind of answered my next question, which was what has the award done to enhance your career? And I guess there aren't always, for everybody, tangible examples, but it feels like it's twofold. One, that kind of confidence boost that most people would inevitably get from winning an award like that, but also it has helped you within the business and the kind of respect and the profile that you've got to.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's having that confidence to be able to. I think when you've looking to study again and want to sort of upskill yourself, I think it's just taking that leap, isn't it? Because I when I first went back into learning again last year with my level 5, it was difficult because it was a new way of me learning. I hadn't really learned a course like that since my days back in college, so it was a completely different way, and it kind of gave me that confidence to go, no, actually I can do this, and I want to push forward, and I want to keep sort of achieving in my career. So yeah, that's where I kind of went forward, really, and started for my level 7 to give me that more confidence and understanding of the world of HR.
Okay. You're also a member of Future Faces, which is the young professionals arm of the Chamber. I know your experience has been kind of curtailed so far because of the COVID-19 crisis, and it's prevented, like everybody else, you getting out to events and really getting under the skin of it. But tell us a little bit about that and what you've made of Future Faces so far, what you hope to get out of it in the future.
Yeah, so I think everything that I've seen so far, and has been great for Future Faces. I think it's sort of like a really good platform for young professionals to get together and look at ways in which people can work together, and that networking really is a great support. I think it's, like I say, it's something that was scuppered a little bit when it came to COVID. I think I joined Future Faces towards the end of February, maybe. And then, obviously after everything going into lockdown, it kind of, became a little bit more difficult to, attend the events and things like that. But I think, once we come out of the other side of this, it's something I definitely want to get more involved with, and sort of start networking with the young professionals in the area. Really just, get our name out as well, really, as an employer of choice, and that flag flyer for the best agency for what we do.
Yeah, well, I can tell you they do have some great social events, Future Faces. So the sooner we can get back to that, the better. Just to wrap up, then, you're obviously very forward thinking in terms of your career, and you've never really stood still for a long period of time. You've progressed really quickly, as we've discussed. So, what are your goals for the future?
So personal goals would be obviously to get my level 7 degree. very much looking forward to wearing the cap and gown at the end of it. So I never went to uni beforehand, so that's something for me is going to be a real achievement. I also want to sort of push higher within the business as well, and sort of, look at ways that we can keep pushing the business forward. One of the things that, is our goal next is to get our gold award and beyond for investors in people. So that's something that I want to continue to work on, just to make sure that we're meeting those standards. And obviously, the situation that we're in now, obviously the pandemic, it's had a major impact on the industry that we work within. So when things start to return to normal, I want to be, present in making sure that our staff return to a safe working environment and supported with their well-being when returning to work, and just keep going forward, really.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us, taking the time to talk about yourself and the business. And you've obviously got a lot of goals, both personally and in terms of Access Bookings too. So I'd like to wish you all the best with those, and we'll hopefully see you very soon in person.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Chamber Podcast. For more episodes, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Or alternatively, you can go to the latest news section of www.greaterbirminghamchambers.com.